Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to stay curious today with Erin Lewis from Kalamazoo, Michigan, where she is the assistant manager of a air and space museum called the Air Zoo. Welcome.
Welcome, hi. And it's just the education department, actually, but it's a great department to work in.
She's in the education department, and that's our wheelhouse here at the American Space Museum as we try to ignite the future generation with our artifacts that celebrate the birth of the space age. Erin, you've been on the Space Coast a couple days. You've seen a launch. You've been out at Kennedy Visitors Complex. And we're grateful Erin's here thanks to our friend Bart Martindale, who is a docent at the Kennedy Visitors Complex and also has co-hosted for me a few times. So,
absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about being in Florida here in the middle of February from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, it's great to be visiting. The people out here are just amazing, and anyone who knows me, I'm a space geek, space nut, aerospace, and there's just so much out here going on, both currently and also just the history, and so many knowledgeable people. So just having a great couple of days, and it's nice to visit your museum for the first time. It's my first time here, so.
Well, we'll ask you about that in a minute, but we wanted to tell our Stay Curious listeners on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Spotify. What are we looking at behind here is our beautiful green screen background, Erin.
Yeah, so this is actually my favorite airplane ever made, an SR-71. And at the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo, Michigan, we actually have the only SR-71B that is left. The two were originally built. One was lost in an accident. So we have tail number 831. And it is amazing. I love this photograph. It just shows really the kind of the fantasy of this amazing airplane built in the 60s. And I get to talk about it quite frequently.
Well, we're going to talk about here as we progress along here and kind of feature the Blackbird, and Erin's going to tell us about some of its unique history. It has some records. It didn't go to outer space, but it was built with all the carbon fibers and so forth that a shuttle was built with to resist the friction of the little bit of atmosphere it was in. And we'll see if, unfortunately, well, it was a spy plane of sorts, and they're just relying now on satellites and the incredible miniaturization of everything that's going on there. So, well, we're going to talk to Erin here just another minute. She is a Stay Curious follower. Give a shout out to a couple Michiganders you see there.
Definitely. Hello to Christopher Mick in Hudson, Wisconsin, actually, and Dave Strange from Macomb. From Macomb, Michigan. Welcome.
And we just met a guy from Macomb, Michigan, Dave, that he didn't know you, but we were over at the Warbird Museum. I was showing you where they're at, and they're closed today, and they were there. So we're also grateful. Brian, Apollo's son Morrison's usually watching, and we've had Teslava in Russia watching occasionally. And I'll bet Ophelia, she's in Normandy, France, a regular viewer of our show here. So we have a lot of fun with this. And what we have also a lot of fun with, Erin, is our astronauts who have birthdays. And we have a happy birthday today to James Philip Bagian, Bagian. Happy 70th birthday to James. He is twice. He was a shuttle mission specialist on STS-29 and STS-40. Some early missions in 89 and 90 there. There he is in his orange jumpsuit. And we're going to have, remember the kind of, Marty, remember the beige jumpsuits that Kripp and Young had on an STS-1? We're going to talk about those in a minute. But Marty Winkle, my co-producer, cameraman behind our Streamlab production facility there. And we're going to have a big announcement for you tomorrow where we are going to be coming to you from the Hyatt Place Hotel studio, as they have agreed to sponsor Stay Curious. And you'll be hearing a lot about Hyatt Place in the near future here. So James Bagian, a little more detail about him. Born February 22nd. 1952. By the way, Marty, there's your $2 bill. Of course, it's green. for 2/2/22. All right, is today 2/2/22, folks. So I pull out my $2 bill. Erin, what's on the back side of the $2 bill?
The backside. Oh, looks like the signing of the Declaration of Independence to me.
That's right. This is a beautiful bill, but whoever uses a $2 bill?
My dad, he loves them.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, they'll probably replace the dollar with the $2 here and get rid of all the change the way things are going in our country. But 2/2/22, how about that? Or 2/2/2022. And 70th birthday to Jim Bagney in there. Where'd he go, Marty? There he is. We've got an older picture of him there. He is a medical doctor from Thomas Jefferson University and grew up in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I'll bet that the Usiak brothers in Lancaster have encountered this astronaut a few times in their hometown. And we welcome them to our show as talking to Tom Usiak last night. And we will have Tom on a show here April 4th to tell us all about the labs of NASA and how those beautiful pictures were disseminated around there. Can't wait for that from Tom Usiak. What else about Baggy in here? He has been very active the last 20 years in rescue efforts at Mount Denali, formerly Mount McKinley, in Alaska. So he has pioneered snow and ice rescue techniques, and he's a colonel in the Air Force Reserve, a pararescue flight surgeon. Wow, qualified as a free fall parachutist, all after being an astronaut,
Wow.
in there. So we wish Philip Bagnian a happy 70th birthday. You all know we love our shuttle astronauts. Over 300 of them are in our communities doing great things, and we can't talk about them enough. We love the ones that are here on our Space Coast. And you were out at the Kennedy Visitors Complex. There's Bagnian floating through the International Space Station there. Actually, that's a lab. That wouldn't have been the space station. He flew before the space station was built, so that's one of the labs in the. That's the first science lab of SLS-1, a 9-day science mission there. Space Life Sciences Lab. So, happy 70th, many more to James Baggy in there. Well, we want to talk with Erin Lewis here. She's got her Air Zoo Michigan shirt on there. This is a zoo in Kalamazoo that has no animals.
That's correct.
So
yes.
Tell us a little bit about the Air Zoo, and you can find it on Google, their website. It's outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the Air Zoo got its name early on. The original airplanes had names like Bearcat or Wildcat, Tiger Cat. And that's where the name kind of comes from, is the Air Zoo.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, it opened in 1979, and the co-founders, Pete and Suzanne Parrish, were the ones that started the Air Zoo. And he was a Navy pilot during World War II, and his Corsair is at the Air Zoo. And his wife, Suzanne, was a WASP pilot, and her P-40 Warhawk, we call it the pink plane,
really?
Is hanging in our lobby, which is really cool. And so we have kind of two buildings. We have our flight innovations, the remaining trainer. So if you were a pilot in training, this is what you would have flown. And our original building from 1979 is now our restoration.
It sounds, I can't wait to go there. Tell us where Kalamazoo is in Michigan. I know Dave Stang can tell you. I know that, who am I looking at? Larry Pusker. Larry Pusker, hi to you. He's in Sterling Heights, Michigan. That's a Detroit suburb, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. So I'm originally from Grand Rapids. It's about an hour south of the Grand Rapids area, and we're in a suburb called Portage. And a wonderful community, and again, that museum's been there since 1979. Aerospace Center, and really focusing on STEM education, restoration, and just being a great part of the community.
There's 4 notable astronauts in your area there. Grand Rapids is, they have a statue to Roger Chaffee there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jack Lausema grew up there. Marty and I just saw Jack Lausema at the 50th anniversary of Apollo 13, 52 years later, is basically what they did. Tell us who's in Kalamazoo, a couple astronauts.
I know of Jim McDivitt. He's one of my favorites. I believe Apollo 9, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is
and
one
a
of my
Gemini mission.
Yeah,
Gemini 4 when he was taking the pictures of this famous spacewalk of Ed White.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, yep, he's from the Kalamazoo area, and just so inspiring to read the stories of those who came before and keeping that alive to the next generation.
Well, there is a possible first woman on the moon could be from Kalamazoo. Tell us about that lady.
Well, Christina Cook's from Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay. She's from Grand Rapids. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep. So maybe.
that's 3 astronauts from Grand Rapids.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know she is. I believe
Christina
she's in
Cook
training.
spent 11 months on the space station on her first mission. She and Jessica Meir did 3 spacewalks together.
Yeah. First all-female spacewalk.
That's right. And I think one of those 2 ladies is going to be the first woman on the moon.
I think so too. Looking forward to that.
And we are. What would that mean to a woman like you that grew up after the Apollo era? But
Yeah. Watching mostly the shuttle. It's time. You know, we know in education, especially, that students need to feel that like they're looking at themselves. You know, that they're represented, that this is something they can achieve. And now with the internet and even some of the virtual teaching we've been able to do, we just want to keep bringing those stories in of what's happening and make sure we're representing the diversity of the astronaut corps, engineering, what that looks like. It needs to happen. Hopefully it'll be in the next couple years.
well, Erin Lewis, we're talking to from the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Can't say that enough, Kalamazoo, Marty. That's just a fun. That's as fun to say as Wapakoneta or something off your tongue there.
Walla Walla, Washington.
Or Walla Walla, Washington. There you go. Well, Erin was the 2020 Employee of the Year, to embarrass her a little bit. And her boss said this about her: her positive, innovative spirit, willingness to give her time when she has no time to give, a listening ear deeply connected to a helping hand, and an insatiable desire to prop up any Air Zoo employee or volunteer. That her boss says it has not only helped the Air Zoo atmosphere, but he attributes you to help saving it from a significant collapse during this pandemic.
Oh, that's so kind. You do your investigation.
Well, I do. I love to try to make people blush and find out something about them, but that really is quite a tribute to you.
Thank you.
And we can talk a little about the pandemic, because this program, Stay Curious, was born out of the pandemic, where I went to my boss to say we need to stay relevant for these nonprofit donations of thousands of dollars we've taken in. We've got to let them know we're just not going to lay down. And thus we started showing things in the museum, and 2 years later it's progressed into this. So how did you meet those challenges and things you did to have this high regard from your superiors?
And very, very nice words. Means a lot to me.
Who is that gentleman?
That is Troy Thrash, our president and CEO of the Air Zoo, and he came in shortly before I did, and we've been working closely with education and with our nonprofit as well, just to be a bigger part of the community. And COVID, of course, things happened so fast, almost exactly 2 years ago, and we needed to pivot. We needed to figure out how to do what we do, reach the people that we can reach, those who really need reaching. All of a sudden, there were a lot more homeschooled students, after school programming that needed to be met. We're a big part of that community, and we learned how to use Google Meet and Zoom very quickly. My dad and my brother were very instrumental in helping me with tech, which I hadn't done much with, and figuring out webcams and getting microphones and things, and making our programs fluid. So we started out with basically our homeschool programs and our field trips and some after-school programs, and then we very quickly had to pivot our summer camps for 2020. And what we really found was the niche for us was coming up with kits. We knew we needed to get the materials in the hands of our students so they could do along with us. we didn't just want to show, we wanted the students to do this. So we had to figure out how to do kit shipping and kit pickup, and we ended up with students.
Science kits, where you put a lesson in there.
Yeah. And actually we taught it live. So the two things we did differently than most places that really worked for us was we did a small kit that we would send out in advance, crossing our fingers it would get there, and then we taught live. So we had Zoom links that we sent out and lots of communication, and we ended up with the students in Mexico. We had a lot of North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York, California, and we actually still have students reaching out to us about this summer. Which is cool, but they could build and do things with us. You know, fly airplanes in their homes and make little rockets, and it turned out to be quite the learning experience. Yeah.
We actually, Karen Conklin, our executive director, we actually thought that was the direction we were going to go, was try to reach out to people in their homes with STEAM education, and frankly, we just weren't staff-wise and so forth equipped to reach out there. Like you have at the Air Zoo. You've seen our 4 part-time employees here. How many staff do you have?
Oh boy, in our department we have 4 full-time, and I hope I get this number right, probably 4 or 5 part-timers that come in on a regular basis, and then a few others that come in just for the summer. And just a big shout out to the education team for 2 years of exceptional work, because it definitely was not just me. Lots of hard work.
Well, it does take a team, but it takes good leaders to keep the team hitched up and all pulling in the right direction.
Yeah,
and
thank
you and
you.
I've talked about that. We're talking with Erin Lewis. She's the Assistant Manager of Education at the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo, Michigan. This oral history, we're grateful to the Marie Louise G. West Endowment that gave us money to buy the equipment that we're able to do this on. Our Streamlabs program software that our Trekkie Techie, Jessica Galloway, hey Jessica, she's always helping us, Marty and me at the last minute now, though we're kind of on our own, but we're not really on our own, are we, Marty? There's always something that we need her to come in the background, and we're very grateful for Jessica for embracing our museum, and also y'all are learning about her, and she's got a business that she's helping people do great things with. So it does take a team, and Marty and I've gone from printing out pictures and holding them up to this wonderful green screen background of the Blackbird we have behind us here. And I was telling Erin that I've been to the Cosmosphere in Kansas, Hutchinson, Kansas, which is needs to be on your bucket list. Yeah. And they have a blackbird that you can touch the nose of it, and it's like, I've been to the Vatican, and you see St. Peter, his leg doesn't even look like a foot because so many people have millions and millions. And the blackbird's worn off there on the tip of it there. We're going to talk about that plane here in a minute. But I did want to say a little more about STEAM education. That is something that we're trying hard in our museum to reach the groups of people there. Tell us a little bit about how your STEAM education works, who you're out.
Air Zoo's education team for 8 years, and really have grown it from originally doing primarily a couple summer camps, a couple of overnights, by the way, you can come. And now we are doing quite broad homeschool programs. We did them virtually for the year, and we're back in person. And after school programs have really been fun for us. We are in at least 2 schools every week now. Just been very, very busy. Our camps have just taken off. We're getting ready for spring break camps and summer camps. And one other piece from COVID that we're still doing, kind of like you, is the Launchpad to Learning. So if you go to airzoo.org, that's our website, and you can go to education, and it's called Launchpad to Learning, or you can just Google it, and you will find well over 100 now, I think, videos. Some are very short, some are a little bit longer, done not just by the education team, but by our collections team, by our volunteers and docents, all subjects, or if you just want a 5-minute experiment to do with your kids at home, or a little birthday party experiment. It's all recorded there for you. You can just scroll through. And I've done 2 on the Blackbird now, which are kind of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I'm actually judging a science fair Thursday morning here,
All right.
the local science fair there. and those are always interesting. And this is the people in the district now, so that'll be
Fun.
more interesting. Have you done any of that?
I
Judging
did.
or-
I worked a science fair in the homeschool community up near Grand Rapids one year.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And we do have some awards for teachers and students that we do offer every year. It's called our Science Innovation Hall of Fame, where you can nominate teachers and students, and there is a stipend and a neat trophy that's coming up in April of this year for us. So kind of like a science fair, because
Yeah.
the winners come in and they showcase, both the educators and the students can showcase what it is that they're working on that won them that award. So very cool.
Well, we're envious of all your energy going there in your STEAM world, and it's like I said, we're our small limited staff, and we're doing things. We're going to start doing things on Friday with some local Boys and Girls Club, and once a month on Saturdays we're doing Mad Science, making a difference is the MAD in science with Darren Roberts, our education coordinator. So be looking for that. Or call us up about the next thing on that. So, but yes, very important to ignite the future generation, and we are going to look a little bit inside your museum here now. I know before I got going inside your museum, you've been to the big one, the Kennedy Visitors Complex, Erin.
Yeah.
And then you're here in our little tiny humble. For our Stay Curious viewers out there, they're both great places, okay? And we know what our lane is here, and this is what our lane is. But contrast the two space museums you've been to in the last couple days.
Sure, yeah. Kennedy's amazing. I've been coming not as frequently as I'd like, but I've been able to come fairly regularly. And, you know, the scope of it is amazing. Having Atlantis is really cool to get that life size, and the Saturn V is, life size is amazing to see. But what I found I like the best about your museum, two things really. One is you can really follow the story of the entire space program right in this building. You can stroll through. There's a nice timeline you can kind of follow. You've got your women in space. You've got Hubble, which is one of my other favorites. But, you know, starting with that first launch in 1950 of the bumper, I think bumper 8, you know, starting there and just following right through Mercury, and then Gemini and Apollo. And you've got individual pieces. I had to really look that connect to stories I've heard. One of my favorites is the switch to the thruster on, is it Gemini 8? I can't remember the number.
Yeah,
I
they
know
almost
that.
died.
Yeah, that story of the spinning out of control
Right.
with the Gemini attached to the Agena.
That's right, with the Neil Armstrong
yeah.
commander and David Scott.
Yeah.
And when they attached to the Agena rocket, the first docking in space that they had to practice to go and dock with the two vehicles in lunar orbit, started spinning around,
Yeah,
and
scary.
we got the thruster, the circuit that failed here.
That's amazing that you have that.
Yeah, and a little
Yeah.
piece of solder's in there. Our godfather, Charlie Mars, had that in his desk for years,
That's
wondering what to do with
amazing.
it
Yeah.
after the mission.
Yeah.
And that is I know you probably saw the movie at the Astronaut Hall of Fame where they depict that going around.
Yeah.
But also the First Man movie with, who is the star of that? Ryan Gosling.
Oh, yeah, Gosling, yeah.
Starred in that. Yes, it's kind of a Hallmark movie about the space program, but that's what I love about it. It's about
Yeah.
the families and the wives and the kids that were ignored, and
Yeah, the real life.
and the drama that these astronauts had to. I mean, they didn't have time to be good dads because they were going to the moon, and what they were learning was so unbelievable, cutting edge for what was going on. But
And the wives having to step up.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
glad you pointed that out there. And
Yeah.
we enjoy both places, but people do like the kind of space cave feel of our museum.
Yeah, it's very
here.
intimate.
You're
Yeah.
intimate.
And
in
the
there.
people. My second
Yeah.
favorite piece is the few folks that I've just interacted with being here today, and Bart, of course,
Right.
who's a docent here as well. And the stories, the personal stories and connections are amazing.
Well, we get plenty of them, and some we can't even broadcast on Stay Curious. But that's usually Tales from the White Room stuff with Triple T. And he's doing better. We hope to get him in here Friday. We're not pushing him. He's had a horrible bout of the flu and some other stuff. But yeah, Marty Winkle's a great example. He's a living legend. or we call them our national treasures, is what I call them.
Yeah.
Trying to think there, because they are. They've done jobs that no one else has ever done or can translate to in society. Well, let's take you. Here's the Blackbird, the SR-22. Let's take you inside SR-21.
71.
71, SR-71. You can correct me there, Erin.
All right.
You know Marty does if you've watched the show plenty, but I must be doing pretty good today. Here is, tell us what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this might be a little tiny bit out of date. We've moved a bunch of things around. We had the anniversary of World War I, but it's a pretty good view when you walk through our cloud tunnel. We always ask our kids to fly through the cloud tunnel, and if you look to your left, this is your view, and you may think you're looking at an indoor carnival ride, and you are correct. We have several. This is our high-flying fun balloon ride. We have a little Ferris wheel back there.
You can sit in that balloon ride?
You can. You can go forward or backwards. I don't like to go backwards anymore. And the kids just love it. And there's beautiful murals that go all the way around this main exhibit hall area. So you'll see airplanes there, and you're not really sure if you're looking at a real airplane or the mural, and you're seeing a little bit of both. Which is so fun. And we have early aircraft and barnstorming era and World War I, World War II. And if you look the other direction to the right, you'll see the Blackbird and our jet era aircraft. Yep.
Your museum, what I saw online, reminds me a lot of the General Tom Stafford's Air and Space Museum in Weatherford, Oklahoma. And one thing I love is the polished floors.
Oh, yeah, shiny.
Yeah,
shiny.
that really makes a difference, I think.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
Yeah, this is the B29 Dock that flew in last year. We've had fly-ins in the past. This is the first B29 I've ever seen land. You could take tours, you could take flights. I did get to go around and hear all about it and look inside the bomb bay. It's just amazing.
The machine gun port there in the front of the glass there, that looks pretty crazy.
A little ominous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and such a shiny airplane, and this is outdoors. It's big, and the Air Zoo is right on the airport there. The Kalamazoo Airport runway is right behind us, so we can take visitors to our observation lounge, and we were able to see this come in.
Tell us, what is the admission there?
Oh, it's around $16 for adults, and we do have special rates for veterans and children as well. And that includes everything, the restoration building, the rides. And we're open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday and 12 to 5 on Sundays.
All right. I'll bet Dave Stang's been there. Is he saying anything, Marty?
No, he's watching, but he didn't say anything.
Okay.
Come and visit.
Come and visit there. So this is, tell us what this is. I got them out of whack, but we're going to see this under construction. But tell us what that is. I can't believe you have this.
Oh, I can't believe it either. This was a good day, by the way. This is the after photograph. We'll see the before photograph at the end. We have an F-117, tail number 817.
Stealth Bomber,
yes,
folks.
Yes. Even though it's an F, it's a tactical bomber, technically. And this came in December of 2020 on the day I found out I was Employee of the Year.
Oh, wow.
So that was a good day.
Wow, that was a good day for
and
you.
I was there.
Good
and
Christmas, too.
It was. And it came from Tonopah Test Range. And our president, Troy Thrash, went out to New Mexico and filmed and blogged and talked about the journey. And the wings and I think the tail came separately, and they got there first to the Air Zoo. And the fuselage came several days later, I believe. And it did not look like this when it came in. So you'll see a picture in a minute. So this is our Flight Discovery building. This is our restoration center. We also have MiGs, a lot of Cold War aircraft, cockpits that you can get inside. And so it's a whole nother building. But most famous for our restoration. And you're looking at a little over a year's worth of work of restoration. And we wanted this particular airplane. It's been in the works for years to bring this to us, because we're the first non-government, non-military museum to get an F-117.
I mean, it's incredible.
It's a big deal.
Folks, this was a top secret plane for decades. It has the state-of-the-art, it can't be seen in radar. That's why it's
like a
got
little bird,
this
little
geometry
sparrow
stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's in a public museum in there. So you must have a lot of Russians coming in there to photograph this thing in there from time to time.
I'm sure we do, and they don't tell us, and we don't ask. But what a journey to get this done. So it came in without the leading edges. All of that was classified. The paint, the radar absorbing paint. None of that was on this airplane. You'll see it is kind of green and silver. And all of this had to be fabricated by our incredible restoration team, which are all volunteers.
Wow.
We have a manager and kind of an assistant manager, but on staff. But everybody else volunteers their time in the restoration center. And they got this done with COVID in a little over a year. And it is beautiful. You need to come visit. Its nickname is Shaba. I think we're going to see a picture of the Bombay. And in Arabic, it means phantom or ghost, for it to be able to sneak up and be so successful. And one last thing about this particular airplane, 817, the reason we really wanted this one is it took part in Desert Storm, Just Cause, and Iraqi Freedom. Those are like three of the main combat periods, and this took part in all three of those. And we really wanted 817, and that's the one that we got out of Tonopah.
Beautiful. You know your stuff. Marty, we got a comment or question?
Both. Dave Stank says, I'm embarrassed to say I've never made the trip there yet.
Okay, Dave. We'll remedy that here next couple weeks.
Game on.
Plow through the snow up there and get to Kalamazoo.
And what do the flags represent? And in the background, on the left side, it looks like a little external tank, which I'm sure it's not.
Okay, the question is, what do the flags represent? We're talking to Erin Lewis, and then it looks like a big external tank or a giant bomb in the background. Go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, the flags, I'm embarrassed to say, I'm not in this building very often except when I bring students over. I've never asked about the flags, so we're going to have to do some research on that for you. This is our original building, but it's been expanded, and I work in education mostly in the new building from 2004, so I wish I knew the answer about the flags. I'll find out.
Okay.
The brown piece in the back, I believe it's called the bread rocket. It was kind of like the Wienermobile.
Okay.
That it would be driven.
Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
Oh, yeah, I should have known someone would ask about that. I wish I could give you more details, but they're talking about restoring it. But I believe it's Bread Rocket, if I have the name correctly. I wish it was an external tank.
Well, sweet. All right, we're going to look at here. What do we see there?
This is a great photograph of our Wildcat that was in Lake Michigan for 68 years.
Oh, my.
And it doesn't look like this anymore. It's at the Restoration Building. You may notice it's missing a tail. So it took part in training on Lake Michigan right after Pearl Harbor, 1942, December. It was on an old paddle wheel boat on Lake Michigan that had been refurbished to be training for pilots and aircraft to fly off of aircraft carriers. Famous time in history. So they had engine trouble, the pilot, and it fell off the front of this paddle wheel boat during training, December, super cold, Lake Michigan, and the paddle wheel chopped off the tail. And you can see the propellers quite bent. And our restoration department has, and it is currently restoring this right now, and my students get to go and work on this in our camps. You can come and work on our airplanes in the restoration center. Yeah.
That's amazing. I drove her by Valiant Air Command, the Warbird Museum here, just a few miles from our museum, and they're closed. They're open Thursday through Sunday. We peeked in the windows there, but it's amazing. A lot of dedicated people love restoring this, and there's no hurry to restore this. They take their time and want things accurately and all that, don't they, Erin?
Yeah, taken very seriously. Yep.
What do we have here?
Yes, so this was one of my students a few weeks ago taking part in our homeschool class. It was all about restoration and material science. So this was in the Restoration Center, and my students were learning what's called safety wiring, which is a technique with the bolts. If you ever worry about the shaking and rattling and a bolt starting to come undone, it tightens the opposite bolt. When one starts to loosen, it actually tightens the opposite bolt. It's called safety wiring, and we do that in our camps and classes. So I thought I would showcase a little education right there.
Marty, you got some experience with that?
Yeah, you do that with electrical connectors also.
Okay.
Marty said you do it with electrical connectors that were on the lunar module
Yeah.
Wow.
that Marty worked on. As a reminder, Marty was on the ascent stage looking through them triangular windows. That, of course, we're looking at the wall or the slaw, the covering when it was on the Saturn V rocket.
And Dave Stang says, my friend, I just lost it. Oh, my friend Brad McKinnon has been there many times in the museum. But tell him that doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count, Dave. Matt McKenneth, he said?
Yeah, Brad McKinnon.
Brad McKenneth, yeah. Well, that's what we're doing. We're helping everyone stay curious up there in Michigan and Ohio, and you got about 4 more weeks left of winter, so hang in there up there. I wanted to ask you here, of course, the pandemic's not been fun for nonprofits that try to do the right thing and are called out from time to time like we have been, that optically things don't look like you're being pandemic conscious, but we constantly are. We are still requiring masks being worn in our museum, mainly because we're such a small space here.
Right.
In there, and people have masks on here. Address that a little bit about how you all are dealing with the
Sure.
masking or not masking.
Oh, I feel so grateful to have the support of the leadership team and every single person that works or volunteers at the museum to follow the science and keep us safe. And masks are just encouraged, not required in the museums anymore, our 2 buildings, but they are required for every education program, scout programs, upcoming camps. Now, for this summer, we're talking about possibly loosening that a little bit. We haven't made that decision, but for us, it's just been following the science and understanding that we are in close quarters as well, with large, 30 just students and then adults and ourselves, and just doing everything we can to hang in there a little longer and stay as safe as we can. And knock on table, our education department has not had any of us out with COVID, so we're really proud of that, and we want to keep everybody safe. So we can hang in there a little bit longer, and the students have been, and parents have been, really patient about that.
Yeah, that's a great answer. We're the same way. We want to protect our guests and our volunteers. And Thursday we'll have 2 gentlemen in here, 90 years old, and they'll be sitting over there at the docent desk just talking tales about their experience out there, and so I'll mask up around them. Don't want them to get anything. I had a little cold a bit ago. How could you get a cold in the middle of this stuff? But I did. And but believe me, it's something that all of us nonprofits are trying to navigate. We want to do the right thing, but yet we don't want to impose on people's civil liberties. So that's always a little fine line to walk there. But so we're thankful for sharing that.
Absolutely.
With us there. Well, Marty, give me your list there so I can shout out to a few people there. But there is your Blackbird in the air, the very one that you have at your museum.
That's
that I have right here on my right there in this gorgeous photo there. Look at that. So there it is flying, and tell us a little bit about what this not space plane, but what this rocket plane did, some of the records it set, why it was important to our nation's security.
Absolutely. So this is, again, the only remaining trainer. And on the trainer version, the aft cockpit is raised up. That's where your instructor pilot would sit. And then your training or your student pilot would sit in the front. And they had the same controls, the same cockpits. So I actually have not really seen the cockpit in the back seat of a regular SR-71 before, because ours doesn't have that for the reconnaissance systems officer. It's a totally different cockpit. There are no flight controls in the back seat. This one, the cockpits are identical, so you can, driver's training, I suppose.
Yeah.
But this is the fastest.
Or I'm taking over. You're not driving very good.
You're not doing it very well.
Yeah, we're dipping too low. Yeah.
So this is the highest flying, 80 to 90,000 feet, and fastest air-breathing aircraft ever flown. So this is a jet. And it would go a little over 2,200 miles per hour. and that has not been broken, that record, as far as
2,200 miles
Yeah.
an hour. Our country is about 3,000 miles across, so it has set the record from coast to coast many times, hasn't it?
It did, and actually, one of them was retired to Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian, and Ed Yielding flew that flight and broke the record, and I don't remember what his time was, but that's the speed record now for crossing the country, and I actually got to meet him. We did a Spyposium event in 2019.
Spyposium. I like
Spyposium,
the sound
yes.
of that.
Where we had crew members and crew chiefs and instructor pilots, and one RSO came in, and we opened up the cockpits. We actually got permission from the Air Force to open up the cockpits. I think I might have a picture. There it is. Yeah. We were able to open the cockpits and look inside, and you might have one of me sitting inside
Yeah, we do.
the student pilot seat. I didn't sit in the instructor pilot seat. This was amazing, and I met Ed Yielding, very, very humble, and Buzz Carpenter, shout out to him. He is at the Smithsonian and does a lot of their docent training there. He was an instructor pilot and talked about flying this actual airplane to train other folks how to fly it. So, and it's not a spy plane, it's a reconnaissance plane. They kept correcting us. Spying was very illegal, and apparently reconnaissance was okay.
Reconnaissance meaning it was loaded with film and,
Yes.
and to take pictures over communist countries and Russia at 2,000 miles an hour. Nothing could keep up with it, so any enemy fighters wouldn't be able to follow it. One astronaut, Jim Halsell, was on the Blackbird, and Marty and I saw that Blackbird that you're talking about at the Udvar Hazy Air and Space Museum, along with Tom and Mark Usiak. They're watching. Hey guys, and we got one of your Pennsylvania natives there, Jim Bagnion's birthday today. So I'll ask you later if you know them. Hello to Mike Killian. Good to see you, Mike. Mike is a premier aviation photographer. He's just had dozens of covers on all the aviation magazines. Hadn't seen Mike in a while. He's always busy chasing those planes to pay his bills, in there. But Mike, thank you for staying curious, and we'd love to get you on the show sometime here, so contact me. And we've got Larry Pusker, we mentioned, Samuel Garcia Jr., Fisher Mazdaj, and Pamela Shivik. Pam is an astronomy acquaintance of mine. She does a lot of outreach with youth in the astronomical ALPO, Astronomical League and Planetary Association organization, ALPO. So Pam Shivik, thank you for watching. And Dave Kanenchi, Dave, thank you for watching. Marty's keeping tabs of some of you all that are staying curious today, and we appreciate you watching on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitch, and Spotify. You ever looked at Twitch?
I haven't.
I haven't either.
I think
I've
should.
had a Twitch, but in there. But look at you twitching those dials and stuff in there. You got your hand on the main shift there, it looks like. And,
Yeah.
Is that very tight, very very small space in there? Or
Well, funny you
would that
should
feel
mention.
like?
We were going to talk about the suits a little bit, right?
Yes,
so
yes,
I'm
yes.
not wearing a flight suit or a pressure suit or any of that, or the helmet, and this was very much like going to space. And we were chatting about those kind of yellow beige suits from the Columbia 1 mission.
And the STS 2 and 3 and 4 all had a
Yeah.
different looking suit.
Yeah.
So tell us about those suits.
Yeah, it turns out there was a bit of a defect that was discovered early on in the suits that were being made for those early shuttle missions, and so they borrowed from Blackbird pilots and U-2 pilots because the suits could really function the same way. And we have one on display. It's on loan to us for Spyposium, and we get to keep it for a while, which is cool. And it says Columbia on it.
Oh, does it
which is
really?
really neat. Yeah.
Well, that had been one of the early astronauts, and plus those early shuttles had ejection seats, as if that was going to work. But you see the picture of STS-1 with the great John Young and Bob Crippen, who's still around, and they're in a different kind of beige looking suit. That is an SR-71 suit. That's so cool. And what are we looking at here, Erin Lewis?
Yeah, so this is the Bombay door signed by crew members that worked on.
Now this is the Bombay door of the
F-117.
The stealth fighter.
Yeah,
the little,
the Hopeless Diamond was
right,
the
Hopeless
nickname.
Diamond.
Hopeless
yeah.
Diamond.
Looks like a diamond cut.
It's amazing. It flew the shape. I always thought it looked like an iron.
Yeah,
the
right.
fact that it
does
flew.
look like an iron.
And I was just told a couple weeks ago by a staff member at the Air Zoo that it could not fly without a computer, very much like the Blackbird. It had to have computer controls to make all those quick flight control changes to make that crazy Hopeless Diamond actually fly through the air. And ours, again, is nicknamed Shaba, or Ghost. So this is just my own picture. It's not very high quality, but that's the Bombay door, and all those signatures preserved. It's amazing
And
to
the
have that
signatures
history.
are from
Just different crew members, pilots, anyone who had
people
worked
that
on this
put
airplane.
the weapons in there,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, this is the payload bay that dropped bombs on during our Gulf conflicts. Three different conflicts this represented us.
This
in.
actual plane, yep, it flew. I think
picture.
over. I don't remember how many hours, over 5,000 hours, and over 50 sorties, over 50 missions. This airplane flew.
And because it was stealthy and invisible, sort of, Shaba.
Yeah.
Which means
That would scare me. I think
Shaba,
that's intimidating.
You said Shaba means
Ghost.
ghost, yeah,
Yeah.
ghost.
Or phantom.
And or phantom. So, all right, and there is the
before.
vehicle we were talking about before it was restored
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Bombay doors there.
Isn't that amazing?
And well, it is amazing. It's amazing that you can go see it in there.
Good work
and,
to the restoration team.
So we're and this is very popular, I'm sure. So we were going to show you a little bit about. Sorry for the bad quality of this, but that's okay. You are hoping as an educator to up your space exhibits. Tell us about that. What are we looking at here?
Sure. And we've had some recent updates done for the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 a couple years ago. And we have a living room you can sit in right there. And actually, my classroom is just across the way, so I get to see this every day. You can sit down in the living room and right out of 1969. And the little furry rug and the little TV and watch that grainy footage of
really?
Neil
That's a good
Armstrong.
one.
It's just cool. You feel like you've stepped into what it would have felt like to watch that. And we have more collections pieces
That's
there.
where people are in the back in the middle there. I see the
yeah.
TV screen collected in the back there.
It's hard to walk by and not stop and want to check it out. It's such a momentous event, of course. And I also, right outside my office, have a J2 engine.
Oh, you do?
Which is cool, right there. Yep.
Okay.
And at the restoration building, we have an F1 that you can walk under. I wish I would have brought you a photograph. I should have done that. But it's almost so big you can't quite get it in a photograph. So we bring our students under there, and we all stand underneath this F1. And you can hear the sound of your voices bouncing off the nozzle. It's just really cool. So
one of the engines used on the third stage, or the S1B of the Saturn V rocket, the J2. And we're looking forward to more of Erin. In fact, she's already planning a trip down here in August. And I told her we'd love to have her back in here. And we're going to try to do some exchange of artifacts with your collection manager and ours, and build a little bridge between our two museums here. We're looking forward to that with Erin Lewis. And of course, we love our kids. That's what it's all about for us, is inspiring the next generation with all the old timers like Marty to tell them you can do it if you want to. Address that a little bit about. It looks like you got a good gift shop there to deck kids out in.
We do, and we actually have Tyvek suits donated that the kids can personalize and make their own, and make a little mission patch and take home from our camps and our classes. But this one is out of our store, which is actually online now. It's called the Flyby, and you can go to our website and check it out and buy stuff and have it shipped. But it's all about the students. And I've done some adult programs too. So we have adult learners, preschool all the way up. And it's so much fun to hopefully impact people from any age, and really these students to get into engineering, learn more about science and how fun it is. And we do a lot with STEAM education, the A in STEAM, the arts.
Right, the A in STEAM,
Yeah,
the arts.
A in
Well,
STEAM, yeah.
we've had some controversy with the A in STEAM around here, but I say because some people objected to the art. But those of you that are Stay Curious listeners know that the great James Webb, NASA's administrator that the Webb telescope's named after, he brought the first artists to the space, to the launch of Gordon Cooper.
Oh, wow.
In 1960, that had been 1963, the final mission of Mercury, when Gordon Cooper spent a day and a half in space. And James Webb brought 8 artists there, and one of them was Paul Calley, whose son Chris Calley is, I'll bet, watching us today. Hi, Chris. And I was telling you a little bit about Chris. It called me earlier today, and we're going to talk about a partnership with us and he and his dad's artwork. But it's just not the art. By the way, another one of those early artists allowed on Kennedy Space Center property by James Webb was Andy Warhol.
Oh.
Believe that or not, right?
Okay.
Yes, Andy Warhol was one. But the A could be in STEAM. How about astronomy? How about aeronautics?
That's cool,
How
right.
about aerospace?
Right,
How about agriculture?
Yeah.
I have talked to people in the Midwest at our museum about how they're planting rows of corn and wheat and soybeans with GPS guided signals so that they get their
Wow.
rows straighter and more maximize their thing. And then it also analyzes on the yield, how much yield they had in a certain area.
Wow.
And the next year, the computer will tell them you don't need as much fertilizer here as you do here.
Oh.
And did you ever hear about that kind of stuff?
No,
Oh, it's just
no.
amazing, the agriculture. So the A in
Yeah.
STEAM can be many things. But if you want to call it STEM, that's okay. The main thing is that just not students, like you're saying, Erin, but adults get educated to some of this stuff. I was at the Orlando Science Center this weekend, where Saturday from 8 to 11, they had over 21 adult STEAM science night. And turned us all loose on different things around there. And it was a lot of fun. To be there, and
You're never too old to learn.
And you could enjoy a cocktail or beer if you wanted to, and go around there and play all the science STEAM stuff. No, you're never too old to learn, and you certainly. I'm proof of that because I'm learning so much about space that I thought I knew about, like we discussed.
Yeah.
I told Erin in my 4 years here, if I know a gallon of information about the space program, I knew about a shot glass full when I moved here 4 years ago, and you know that
It's
by
true.
talking with these aviators, which are such a cool mix of people because they're detail oriented usually, and they're
Yeah.
and yet they have other interesting things, don't they, outside of the aviation and so forth?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, life is about a balance, and it's amazing how many are musicians, which is fascinating, and artists. You know, that art of observing. That's the connection I keep seeing with science. Is looking for patterns and making those observations. And yeah. But lots of musicians and sports folks, and having that balance in life. Yeah.
Well, speaking of musicians, I'll embarrass you by saying that Erin was in a rock band as a lead singer, singing Aerosmith
Aerosmith.
songs and other things. You said
was
you had
fun.
a lot of fun with that.
Yes.
But she knew when to walk away from it too, which is, I think, a part of growing up is that you realize everything doesn't last forever.
Yeah, there's not enough time.
Yeah, there's not enough time to do
Not
everything you
enough
want to
hours
do.
in the
That's
day.
right. So I'll go out and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, did we have another picture there to share? Yes, I did. We had a couple more pictures, Erin, here of your wonderful Air Zoo, which is a zoo of aircraft that have animal names like the tiger and the Mustang and the other ones in there. You said this is sort of a Stonehenge feel to your museum.
Yeah, it is. So just looking at, solar observing, calendars, winter solstice, and just going back further than, the Wright brothers and aviation, and realizing again the importance of science. We're really a science center too with all the education we're doing. And this is a fun one because you can touch everything and get up close to it.
And then finally, we have here, like our Women in Space gallery that I know you enjoyed.
Yes,
You have a
yes.
women's exhibit here.
We do, yeah. Women in Air and Space. It's a hands-on exhibit, things you can touch and feel, and open doors and see artifacts from the individuals and learn a little bit more about them. And this is a direction we're really going. We've got a wonderful Black Wings exhibit, and just really showing the diversity of people. You know, we talk about Margaret Hamilton a lot, and Katherine Johnson, and making sure that we're representing.
You know, I'll throw a little trivia question out there to you, Erin. No one remembers who's the second person to do anything. All right, so Charles Lindbergh's the first person to solo fly across the Atlantic. Do you know who the second person was?
Oh, I believe I just looked at that name, but I'm not going to be able to pull the name out of my hat. You're going to get me on this one.
Well, it was Amelia Earhart.
Oh, was it?
5 years after Lindbergh did it.
Yeah, okay.
And you're thinking like, wow, you know, why didn't she do it earlier or whatever? But the great Amelia Earhart in there. And so celebrating women in aviation and women in space is so important to inspire not just women, but men. I'm inspired by our women's gallery to think about, wow, those guys, look what those ladies did with their lives, and look what I've done with mine, you know. We're
leading the way, right?
You're just like us, wanting to inspire and share that the sky and outer space is for all genders, all people of all backgrounds, and NASA has done a super job at doing that and continues to do that as we crew the International Space Station with people of mixed races and men and women up there. So, Erin, I have thoroughly enjoyed visiting with you today and enjoying our Stay Curious program. Is there something that you'd like to share with us that I haven't asked you, or that you'd like to tell our Stay Curious audience?
No, just it's an honor to be here and to meet all of you and be able to see your museum in person after hearing about it, and just inviting folks to check out Launchpad to Learning. It really is a quick way to
Launchpad to Learning.
Yeah.
I love your when you go to her website, you know, website designers are like, oh, we want to just blow you away with the beginning stuff. So I love the beginning of your website. It's the big screen, there's a little propeller in there that goes blue, blue a couple times in there.
It's pretty cute.
And my father, I would get out, and my dad would have a prop plane that he would have to crank down on there. A Taylor craft that he had for years, and that's so cute and so understated.
Yeah.
You know, I love that kind of stuff. So, Erin, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure spending some time with you today. I took her around some of the sites of Brevard County up here on the north end, as we call it, and hope you enjoyed that, because I certainly did, and
great
getting
day.
to know you better.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, we've got a great Stay Curious conversation with Carlton Bailey. We've talked about Carlton has been witness and photographer to more than 600 launches. He teamed up with the USIAC brothers, Tom and Mark, right at STS-26, the recovery from the Challenger mess in 1986, and they've bonded since through photography. And so we're looking forward to having you on here, Carlton. Just don't bring any squirrels with you, okay? Just bring yourself. I've got plenty of pictures. He's got a squirrel thing, and he's got a Godzilla thing. Bring Godzilla, but no live squirrels, Carlton, okay? Hopefully he's laughing. Marty, what we got there from you, buddy?
Keith South said Valiant Air Command Museum is having an air show this year, finally.
Yeah, thank you, Keith.
22nd.
He's a professor of astronomy at one of the local local colleges here, Eastern Florida State College, and they are having it's over, I think it's Memorial Day weekend. I think it's in May. I'm not sure it's Memorial Day weekend, but yeah, we'll help promote that with the Warbirds. Thank you, Keith, for bringing that up.
Yeah, Keith is also a restoration technician on sheet metal at the Valiant Air Command.
Okay, all right. He volunteers out there, so he knows what you're talking about.
Restoration.
Meticulous work out there. So, well, once again, we enjoy having you. Thank you, Marty, for all your good work. Trekkie, Techie, Jesse, thank you for chiming in to get us going here and getting Erin's name down there on the bottom. we hope that the weather starts clearing up for you there in Michigan, so you can start
Oh.
doing some stargazing.
Me
But
too.
I'm sure you probably don't want to go back right now. But,
Not yet. I got a few more days.
Well, good. Well, enjoy the Florida sunshine. We've enjoyed Erin Lewis being here with us. Please check out the Air Zoo. All right. And on behalf of our Space Museum here, I'm Mark Marquette, telling you to come back and stay curious tomorrow when we have Carlton Bailey with us, a launch photographer, to bridge the space between us.